Welcome students. Welcome to the lecture number 1 of chapter 2, that is Python programming fundamentals. Okay. So in this lecture we are basically starting up with some fundamentals of Python language. So the first thing that we are going to learn about this language is the first topic is tokens. So what is basically a token? Okay. So token means a smallest individual unit of a Python script that is meaningful to the interpreter is basically a token. Okay. So whenever we write a particular statement in Python, that statement, the individual unit in that statement is basically known as a token. Okay. So let me explain you that what is basically a token, just giving you an example. Suppose if we have written like this, A is equal to 5. Okay, we have written a statement that A is equal to let me remove this symbol and write the symbol once again. So if we write this statement that A is equal to 5, okay, so this is basically a valid Python statement, right? So in this statement, there is A is used, another thing that is equal to is used, and another thing that is 5 is used. So in this statement there are 3 individual units. One is A, second one is equal to, and third one is 5. Okay, so we can't further divide A into another units. Okay, so this is the smallest individual unit. So why smallest? Because we can't divide this A in any other parts. So this is the smallest individual unit, equal to is the smallest individual unit, and 5 is the smallest individual unit. So whenever we write a Python statement, okay, so each and every word that is used in that statement is basically refers to a token. So we can say that what is a token? The smallest individual unit of a Python script. Okay, the smallest individual unit of a Python script that is meaningful to the interpreter. Okay, so there is a word that is meaningful to the interpreter. Suppose if we write in Python statement, suppose when I write a program in Python, suppose if I write like this, question mark, then I write hash, okay, then I write y, then I write h. Suppose if I write this statement in Python, then anything happen? Nothing will happen. Why? Because this is not a valid statement according to the Python syntax. Okay, this is not a valid statement according to the Python syntax. So we can't say that this question mark, hash, and y, h, these are tokens. No, they are not tokens because they are not meaningful to the interpreter. So whatever statement which we write in Python, and if that statement is meaningful to the interpreter, that means the statement had some work. Okay, so if that statement is meaningful to the interpreter, then only the smallest individual unit of that statement is called as token. Okay, so in this case we have 3 tokens. A is also a token, okay, equal to is also a token, and similarly 5 is also a token. So we have 3 types of token in this statement right now. So okay, after knowing about this token, let me see that what are the types of token with us, because we have to learn that obviously the smallest individual unit is a token, but what kind of token is that? Okay, so the token is categorized into these 5 categories. The first category is basically the keywords, second is identifier, third one is literal, fourth one is operator, and the fifth one is basically delimiter. Okay, so these are basically the 5 categories of tokens, right? Now let us understand each of the token one by one. So first we move with the token that is keyword. Okay, so what is basically a keyword? first of all, let me give you an example, then I will move on to the definition of keyword. Okay, suppose if we take the example of English language. So when we talk about the English language, these kind of objects, okay, these kinds of object in English language, we give them a particular name, that is pen. Okay, so this pen word is basically used to refer these kind of objects. I can't use this pen word to refer this object. Why? Because in English language, pen word is basically reserved for these kinds of object. And what is a word that is reserved for describing this kind of object? That is a diary. Okay, similarly, this type of objects are represented by the word table. So when we talk about English language, then for describing each and every thing in English language, there is a particular word for it. Okay, and we use that word only to describe or only to indicate that item only. Okay, so it means these are the reserved word for in that language. So we can say that pen is basically a reserved word in English language for describing these types of objects. Okay, so keyword means the reserved word that has having its own specific meaning in the given language. Okay, so what is a keyword? Keyword means the reserved word having its own special meaning in that particular language. So in English language, pen is a keyword because that is the reserved word for describing these kinds of objects. Diary is a keyword because that diary is basically used to represent these kind of objects. Okay, so I hope you understand what is basically a keyword means. Okay, so in case of Python, how we can define the word keyword? So keyword are basically the reserved words. Okay, so reserved word means they have their own specific meaning in that language. So whenever we write those words in our program, then the Python interpreter, whenever the Python interpreter see that word in the program, then he knows that okay, this word is written, so it means I have to perform this type of work for that. Okay, now each keyword has a specific meaning. Okay, then we know that each keyword has a specific meaning to the Python interpreter. As I told you, whenever we write a keyword in our program, the Python interpreter, when see that word, by understanding that, by fetching that word, the Python interpreter knows that what kind of work he has to do. Okay, whenever the Python interpreter see a keyword in the program, then the Python interpreter knows that what kind of work he has to do when this keyword is written in the program. So it means that every keyword has its own specific task associated with that word. Okay, now next thing is that the Python is basically case sensitive. Okay, so what does it mean by case sensitive? It means if a particular keyword is written in small letters, okay, then the system will treat that word as a keyword if and only if all the characters in that word is written in small letters. Okay, so these are some list of keywords, and suppose you can see that there are some list of keywords like false, none, true, and as these are some keywords. Okay, now suppose over there this is the keyword given as true. Okay, in this keyword you can see that the T is basically in capital letter, but the rest of the words, that is R, U, E, they are in small letters. Okay, so whenever we want to use this word in our program and we want that the system should treat this word as a keyword, then we have to write exactly in the same manner. Means the T must be capital and the other words, that is R, U, E, they must be in small letters. Only then the system will treat this word as a keyword. Okay, but suppose if we have written like this, small t R U E. So in that case, system will not treat it as a keyword. Okay, so let me show you this thing also. Now let me open the interactive mode of my Python. So it is open. Suppose if I return a is equal to true, okay, you can see that the color of a true basically changes. Okay, so no error will be shown. But suppose if we return a is equal to small true and we press the enter, so it shows me an error. Why? It shows me error that name true is not defined, because true is basically not a particular value. Okay, so obviously when I write this true, the system identify that it is a keyword, so it has its own specific meaning, right? So in that case the system will not show me any error. Okay, but in the second case, when I write true in small letters, then the system treat this word as a normal word. It is not a keyword right now. Okay, so that's why it is showing error, that what is the value associated with the true that we are going to assign in a. Okay, suppose whenever we write a is equal to 9, so it means I am assigning the value of 9 to a. But when I write this a is equal to true, so it means I am assigning the value of variable true into a, but true is not a variable right now. Okay, so just remember one thing, that if I write a particular keyword, then I have to follow the syntax rule of that keyword. Okay, as you can see over here, break is a keyword. In this break keyword, all letters are written in small letters. So obviously the system will treat this break word as a keyword if I write all the letters in small. But if suppose I write even a single letter in capital, then the system will not treat it as a keyword. Okay, suppose if I write like this, break is equal to 9. Okay, so when I press enter, nothing will happen. But if I write break is equal to 9, then you can see that there is a syntax error. Why syntax error? Similarly, because break in small letter is basically a keyword, we can't use it for this purpose, because break has its own specific meaning in that language. Okay, but when I write break in the above statement and put B in a capital letter, then the system will not treat this word as a keyword. Okay, in the eye of system, this word will be treated as a normal word. That's why no error will be shown to me in that case. Okay, so I hope it is clear to you that keyword, what is basically the keywords in Python. Okay, now after keyword we move to the second token, that is identifier. Okay, so let me tell you what is basically an identifier. So whenever we write a program, we use various things in our program. Okay, in order to identify that item, we have to give some name to it. Okay, we have to give some name to it. As you see that every person in this world has some name. Okay, every student in the class has some name. Why a name is given to every person? So that we can identify that person. We can indicate that, okay, now Ram give me the pen. Okay, when I write Ram give me the pen, so it means I am specifying that student to give me the pen. Okay, so identifier are basically the name given to the items or objects used in the program. So when I write the first point is that in programming language, identifiers are basically the names used to identify a variable, a function, and other entities in a program. Okay, so in this case over here we have used a to store the value of this keyword true. Okay, over here we use break to store the value 9. So in these two examples, this a and this break is basically act as an identifier. Suppose if I want to display the value 9 which I stored in this break word, so what I will do, if suppose I write break and press enter, we can see the value of break is shown to me. So how the system gets this message from my side that show the value which is stored in break? When I write the statement, when I write this name, by seeing this name, the system knows that okay, we have to show the value of break. So obviously I have given this name, right? So when I write this statement that a is equal to 9, then what will happen in Python? There is a small memory space reserved for that value, and 9 is stored in that value, and a basically refer to that location. Okay, a basically refer to that location. So obviously this a is used to identify this location where the 9 is stored. Okay, so the identifier are basically used to identify the things used in the program. So the next point is that there are some basically rules for naming an identifier. Okay, so whenever we want to give a name, or we want to give an identifier name, so I have to follow some rules. I can't give any name to the identifier. No, we have some rules, and we have to give the name to the identifier as per those rules. Now what are the rules? The first rule is that the name should contain only capital A to Z, small a to Z, 0 to 9, and underscore only. So in the name of the identifier, only these characters are allowed. Okay, only these characters are allowed. So let me show you this. Suppose if I have written like A capital A 78 is equal to 500. Just wait, is equal to 500. So when I press enter, nothing will happen, because in this case this is the name of the identifier, and I told you that in the name I can put I can use small letters, capital letters, digits, anything I want. So no error will be shown. Okay, and suppose if I write that a underscore 7 is equal to 700. Okay, so in this statement no error will be shown, because small letter, capital letter, digit, and underscore are allowed in the name of the identifier. But if I write like this, a percentage b is equal to 9, then what will happen? A syntax error is occur, because cannot assign to operator. So it means that this name cannot be a valid name, because why? A is valid, B is valid, but the percentage symbol which we used in this identifier name is not valid. Okay, so you have to be prepare that whenever you are writing the name of an identifier, only these characters can be used, right? Now the second thing is that an identifier cannot start with a digit. You have to remember that whenever you are going to specify the name of the identifier, the name should always start with a character. Okay, let me show you this thing also. Suppose if I have given the name of the identifier is A1 is equal to 10, then absolutely correct. Why? Because this name begins with A, which is basically a character. But suppose if I write 1A is equal to 10, then what will happen? Syntax error, invalid syntax. It means you cannot use this pattern in the identifier name. Okay, you cannot use this pattern in the identifier name. The name should always start with a character. Okay, and suppose if we have written the name as underscore amount is equal to 90, will it work? Okay, so let me show you that whether this statement work or not. When we press enter, nothing will be happen. Okay, so it means that this statement is basically correct, because no error is shown to me now. So why it is correct? Obviously it is starting with underscore, and underscore is allowed, and underscore is basically a character. So no problem is in this case. Okay, because we have to use only the specified characters and always begin with a character, not with a digit, and we are beginning with underscore, and underscore is basically a character. Okay, Now the next rule is that it can be of any length. Okay, so there is no limitation of the length. You can put any length to the variable, but as it is written over here, however, it is preferred to keep short and meaningful name. Okay, so what this rule specify, suppose if I have written the name as A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y Z is equal to 1000. So you can see that no error is shown. It means we can set this kind of high length variable also, but you know that for using these kinds of high length variable is very difficult. So it's better if you keep the short name. Okay, suppose someone told me that, okay, show me the value of this, or increase this the value of this variable by 500. So what I have to do, I have to write this expression A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y Z is equal to A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y Z plus 500. Okay, so you can see that how I have to write this long statement, and when I press enter everything is okay. But if I want to see the value of that variable, then I have to again write A B C D E F G H I J K L M N O P Q R S T U V W X Y Z, and when I press enter I will see the name of value as 1500. So it means that you can give the identifier of any length. Okay, but it is better if you use the variable identifier names of small size. If you want to use the bigger size length, then use the name which is meaningful. Okay, suppose if I want to store the income tax, so in that case I can give the value as income underscore tax is equal to 1000. So okay, this is all right because this is a larger length, but it has some meaning. Okay, so if you want to use, always use the short words for the identifiers, but if you want to give some larger length name, then obviously choose some logical words only. Okay, not any random or rubbish words. Now the next thing is that it should not be a keyword or reserved words. So remember one thing, the identifier name should not be a keyword. As you can see that in our example which we have written over here, we write break is equal to 9. In this case, break is, we have written all the characters of break in small letters. So break in small letter is basically a keyword. So we can't use that keyword for as an identifier name. So that's why we are getting error in this case. Okay, we are getting the syntax error. Why? Because we are using the name of an keyword, the name of a keyword in as an identifier. Okay, so in this case we are using the name of the keyword as an identifier, which is wrong. So that's why the system shows me an error. Okay, and one more thing, we cannot use special symbols like this at the rate $hash in an identifier. So these, I think that this point is already clear to you, that we cannot use these kind of names to the identifier, right? So I hope that this thing is clear to you. So I'm just stopping this lecture right now. Hope you understand each and every point of this lecture. So thank you very much and have a nice day.